And we're on. Welcome, guys, to the Tim Johnston Marketing Podcast. Very lucky today to have the wonderful Kelly Abbott on with me. How are you, Kel?
Yo.
How you
Hi.
doing?
Hi, Tim. I would only do this for you at the moment, to be honest.
Mate. I know you're a very busy woman, so I do appreciate it, mate.
You are always welcome.
I'm already worrying that we've only got half an hour to have this conversation, and we're probably going to need about, well, you and I, when we have a half-hour conversation, it usually lasts about 12 hours. So apologies in advance to anyone if this overruns, but there's a good chance that might happen.
We'll just have to tune in for part two.
Sorry, Kel.
We'll just have to tune in for part two.
That's it, mate. Yeah, we'll have to do a 6-part series. Well, first of all, just to give you an introduction, Kelly, I've known you now for about, I was trying to work it out before we got on today, but it's about 10 years.
Bloody hell.
I know. 10 years, yeah.
Years, a little whippersnapper.
I know.
Your first, you weren't free. You had one baby. You had little Louis.
I know, mate. I know. I had more hair. I had less weight. I'm falling apart now, but no, it's all good. Yeah, obviously 3 little boys now, so and one really, really little one, which is brilliant. But yeah, I couldn't believe it had been 10 years or nearly 10 years since we met. Because sorry, Kel, sorry.
We got to have a party or something.
I think so. Yeah.
Diamond or something, isn't it? Or paper.
Don't you get given a watch if you're at a company for 10 years or something? Yeah. We'll go down to Cuttings and get a watch.
Yes, please.
So obviously, when I met you, obviously I know you were sort of doing sort of furniture stuff and sort of retro bits and bobs for Margate Old Town, which was awesome. And it was great for me to sort of be not involved. Obviously, I wasn't helping you do anything, but I was sort of
community. It was on your doorstep, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, it was.
If anyone remembers the days of the yard, the crazy yards, well, it wasn't a crazy place. It was a business, a serious business. What was the most important thing about the yard is it was all encompassing of just the community that was growing in Margate, like you said.
Yeah, definitely.
So, man, Margate and Cliftonville is a very different place from when it was the yard and 2 other shops, 100%.
Well, I think you must have thought, Kel, when you first moved down and you moved next door to me, you must have looked out at Margate and thought, what is going on here?
First come to Margate. I mean, my mum's got photos of me and my brother coming to Margate because I'm born and bred central London.
Yeah.
And on our council estate, if you could pay like 25p or 50p, and the community centre would bring you to the seaside for the day.
Oh, wicked! Yeah.
We're in the middle of London. We've never seen the beach before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
this wasn't Marbella. This is Marvegas.
Oh, it's paradise. Yeah.
Seeing like, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7, maybe probably a bit older than that, and seeing like the big wheel and the Mary Rose and the lights and the candy floss. It's like. Yeah, it's crazy, but that was my earliest memories of Margs. And then I remember it being on a pilot. So I used to be in TV, bore off. And I remember seeing a pilot of, oh my God, what's her name? Kirsty and Phil's Location.
Oh, yeah.
It was on. And they was walking around and it was like, oh, that looks lovely there. Looks lovely. And my mum's a traveller, so she remembers coming when she was younger. And I spoke to her about it because I think that everyone was getting fatigue about living in London, and everyone, every other week someone's friend's got stabbed, someone's been shot, someone's stories of, I now know that that's not just urban city life, but it was there.
Of course,
and we shipped Mum out to Margs. And obviously, you can get a lot more for your £1 note here for property.
Definitely,
and you get, for my mortgage in London, I got 3 properties for that.
Sure.
I wasn't that disassociation with London. I love London.
Yeah.
But you cut me in half now. Margate like a rock, like
Kel,
a stick of rock.
well, mate, well, I was going to say you already know this, so you don't need me to tell you, but you were the pioneer. You know, the select few of you that came here 10 years ago, or however many years ago that was now, you guys were like the ones who, because obviously I grew up, I'm born and bred in Margate, lived in my whole life. And when I was a really little kid, I remember it being this amazing place with dreamland and, you know, loads of stuff to do, and it being hot. It seemed like it was hot every day of the year, and you'd run down the beach in just a pair of shorts, and, you know, it was great. And then when I got to about 13, 14, there was a real decline. And that obviously isn't just for Margate, that's for pretty much every seaside town in the country. Yeah.
And I think we've all heard the stories. If I had a pound for every time I've had this conversation with someone who's new moving to Margate, or you know, that time, especially when you was that age. First of all, there's two things going on. When you're 13, you know, we do this rite of passage where every child in the whole planet goes through this, you know, this rite of passage of identity, where your mum and dad, family, whoever they are, they're not cool anymore. You don't care. They feed you and they keep you warm and safe. That doesn't matter. It's like, hold on, my friends and the older kids, that's more cool.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
If you've grown up with Ben Bon Brothers in the background and candy floss and ice cream, all of a sudden, that's not cool.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, sure.
Our society, that the city is cool, and let's go to the city, and that's where all the fortune is. That's where all the experience is. That's where all the opportunity is. Let's go to London. So someone from your generation who lived here would certainly be like, well, not you, but a lot of people like,
sure.
Big city.
I think what's just great for us now, though, Kel, and I, you know, obviously it's hard for me to say at the age I am now for teenagers, but there's finally stuff to do around here. And obviously there's always been the great beach and stuff like that, but there's now, you know, you walk any part of Margate now, and it seems that the other town, I mean, Broadstairs has always been fairly affluent, and, you know, it's been busy and lots of restaurants and stuff like that. But Ramsgate and Margate have definitely seen in the last 5 years a real surge in good quality shops, you know, independently owned shops, independently owned restaurants. I mean, the amount of good food on our doorstep now in Margate is the reason why I've put on about 5 stone in the last 5 years. So it's incredible. But this,
you'd probably have to go to Whitstable or to somewhere else.
Exactly.
Restaurant. You ain't got to do that now. It's right here in Margs.
Exactly.
You know?
And just a disclaimer, I have got some buddies who've been open for 20 years and your food is great. So I'm not counting you out, but it's just the options now are just unreal, you know, and that's not just for food, that's for, you know, everyday, you know, clothing or whatever it may be. You've got such a variety now. And for business, you know, obviously this being the business podcast, you know, pretty much, I know there's, you know, some places it could do with a few more shops, but you go in that old town now, every place is full. There's businesses everywhere. They're employing, they're bringing on, giving jobs to local people. You know, it's great. And you were one of the first, Kel, that was here that made that happen. And that is actually the perfect segue, because you are seeing the fruits from your labor now, because of what projects you've got in the pipeline are the icing and the cherry on top of the cake of the work that you've put into this town.
Oh, that's really nice, and I really appreciate that. But also, it's a lovely way to put it for me. For my, it is really nice because, you know, like you said, this place is growing and developing in business, and business for everyone. We're not just talking about £8 cup of coffee. You know, veg shops, and I need to go to Mainsail or North Dammer for a bucket. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go to, listed Khan's or Kenny's for some planting. You know, it's not just about you know a record shop or a pair of vintage 501s, but all of it is beautiful when it all helps. But I think for me, certainly, I've seen that the demographic change here in Margate, and like you said, the business is opening. And for me, I said it. On the speech on the steps at the peaceful protests. In solidarity to the murder of George Floyd, is that I love Margate. I love it here. I love the coffee shop. I love the sofa at the end of Athelston Road also. I love it all. for me, Margate is a really socially conscious town. And we have this, you know, people from outside Margate think that Nigel Farage lives in a big tower on the top of the hill. And everyone's a gypsy and it's just like, shut up. Margate, history of Margate is there's some shit bits in there, excuse my French.
No, that's fine.
In the history of Margate too, you know. Margate is synonymous for over 30 years. African and Caribbean churches have been coming from London to the beach in the summer, or places. You know, I was that kid from the council estate that was shown like the freedom of a beach. You know,
of course,
around and all of that. So to me, Margate is a very culturally conscious town. Coming to the surface, I'm not saying we're perfect, you know, and even, you know, the LGBT community, we've had, you know, Sundowners, it's been there for many years. Pride, now is, you know, it's a new Pride, but Pride was here long time ago.
Definitely. Well, it's funny you mention that, Kelly, because, you know, going, you know, in sort of keeping with that, obviously, my parents are Irish. They met in London, but they're both born and bred in Ireland. And they moved, obviously they lived in London in the 70s, which probably wasn't the best time to be living in London and being Irish. Exactly. So they remember the signs. And they moved to Margate in the 80s, you know. So like you say, it is quite rich in history of people from all over the place. I mean, I've been fortunate enough. I've grown up with a lot of friends who are from Eastern Europe. So I've got a lot of friends that came to England when they were very young. And, you know, I was lucky enough to sort of be, you know, involved or around different situations, people that have different stories to tell, as well as obviously the luck of having my mum and dad to tell me things growing up as well. So, you know, I've talking about sort of being socially conscious, you know, that's something that I'm very grateful for in my upbringing, you know, that I've had that around me. So yeah, I mean, and again, this all leads to the perfect segue to what you have been doing, both, you know, for everyone to hear, but also behind the scenes over the last couple of years. And going back to what I said, it really is a testament of what you've put into this town, that you're the captain of the ship for what's coming, because you don't get to places by luck, Kelly. And, you know, that's something I've spoken about on this podcast a lot, you know, with everyone I've spoken to, whatever business they're in. You know, I had Charla on last week and I said, you know, you haven't been in business for 8 years because you've been lucky. You've been in business for 8 years because you're a grafter. Yeah,
I always say I get up an hour earlier than everyone else.
Yeah.
And I lean into it. I can't help it. I know that I'm superhuman. I know that I'm a formidable bitch. I know that I'm hard-faced. I have to be. Because it's not a selfish ego thing. It's because I love where I live and I want it to be better for everyone, especially someone of me. I want somebody like me, someone who's black, someone who's a woman, to be able to get off that train and feel comfortable in this beautiful town.
You know? Right. It's brilliant, mate.
The People Them Collective is what you're talking about. What we've been working on for the last nearly 2 years now. And I think that, look, I've got to mention, T, that the People Them Collective we started about 9 months before the murder of George Floyd, because all of us, which is great, the world has woken up to systemic racism, you know.
Yeah, sure.
The murder of George Floyd was the catalyst for that. And all obviously horrific and sad, but also, you know, there's been a massive...
Kelly, don't worry about that on this, mate. It's absolutely fine. When YouTube asks me if it's for kids, I say no, so it's fine.
But I think there's been a massive shift on, you know, it's what white people have woke up to understand. You know, racism means you wear a white hood and you burn a cross on a Wednesday night with your cousins. That's not what it is. We're understanding that racism is much more subtle than that, and people are harmed and affected and are less privileged because of the colour of their skin.
Yeah.
What, as we know, doesn't mean you grew up with a horse, everyone. You know what I mean? But people, I think what's beautiful is people they're asking more questions. And don't get me wrong, and if I was white right now, I'd be like, oh my God, I've said that. I've made that racist joke. I've listened to my mate say that and I should have said something. I've listened to that, or shit, when my boss used to call that person that, I never said anything. And I could see that they were affected. Because you kind of know that that's a bit naughty.
This is the great thing that I've found with you, Kel, and we've had these conversations as friends many a time. And you've said to me something. I remember you saying it to me the other week when we were chatting, and you said you don't mind if someone makes a mistake. It's about you educating them or showing them that is a mistake, or is that something that shouldn't be done. You know, so I think your approach and what I think People Them Collective offer people is an education, as opposed to an argument. It's have a look at it from this perspective, or have you thought about this, or do you know what I mean? And I think
absolutely. And Tim, don't get me wrong, it's not a black person's job to educate white people on racism. We didn't make up, white people did. You know, when I get asked, oh, how do we solve it? It's like, you need to ask your white cousins. I didn't make it up. I just know what it feels like, you know? But I think if I could give a brief history quickly on what the People Them Collective is. So we were brought together. I called a few friends around my house and colleagues, people I'd worked with around my house, like I said, 9 months before the murder of George Floyd, and said, okay, I'm sick of hearing stories of people being erased. And these are people working for companies and organizations and groups. And all that we all know these people. And, you know, I was sick of hearing these stories of these, a friend had put together this most amazing thing for this town and beyond, and people being erased and deleted from their content that they'd created. And we know as black and brown people, that's because of systemic racism. And I called these piles together and I was like, okay, guys, let's not reinvent the wheel, because it goes round and round and round, it works. But let's be real brown and black. You know, we're fighting a system that is literally, you know, racism is a system that is constructed to oppress. You know, that's not, and I know people, but it's facts. It's not, I'm not making it up. Do you know what I mean?
It's there's quite hard evidence to back what you're saying, Kel. So, you know, just a little bit.
And, so we come together and we was like, okay, this town, we live here, we're proud of our town. We do a lot for lots of other communities, feel welcome here. We're homeless, a struggling artist, you know, Oasis domestic violence charity is huge here. And in fact, fleeing domestic violence relationships. We're really strong in those, like I said, those socially conscious communities, but there's nothing for our community. We'll all wear black and brown clothes, eat black and brown food, black and brown music. We observe black and brown culture, but we don't know anything about systemic racism, which people are part of. So we started developing, we were meeting every week. We started to develop a plan, a strategic plan, if you like, to create a cultural centre of Black British history here in Margate.
Yes, brilliant.
And it should be here in Margate. Why a city? The Black experience isn't just a urban one. You know, it's beautiful. There's lots. You know, pick a point in time, in British history, and there is a Black person there, and it's not just slavery, you know, or basketball or football. You know, Black British history is beautiful and rich, and it should be celebrated. Why not? You know,
definitely.
To learn about the actual history. Some of it's fucking horrible. Some of it's shit. That's right. But let's start learning together and properly. So Jude and little Louis, you know, they don't experience this. They're not going to, obviously, because you're their dad. I get that. But they are going to experience it. That's a lie. But you're going to equip them with the tools because of who you are, you know?
But not only that, not only that, Kelly, I mean, I don't know the answer to everything. So,
no, of course not.
So it's good.
The culture.
Exactly. So there might be things that you know, I've grown up with parents that have told me a lot about the Irish uprising and issues in Ireland and stuff that you wouldn't learn about at school. But there are a lot of things. there are a lot of things that I haven't, you know, learnt about, which this cultural centre is perfect for. And the fact that it's, sorry, Kel.
And for us all, the cultural centre
Yeah.
is for everyone. It's not, let's dissolve this, that people think that it's a cultural centre for Black and brown people. Absolutely not. You know, brown history is British history, and white British history. And we all need to learn about its beauty and its richness and its excellence and celebrate it together. Who don't want to sit, eat food together and explain, let me show you my recipe, you show me yours, and let me show you where it comes from. Then let's dance and do some music about it and do an art and watch a film about it. I mean, what's wrong with that? No, that's not, you know, it's just, let's learn together. Things change, everyone.
Yeah.
The world is changing, things change.
This is it.
It's not actually true.
Yeah.
You know, that's been told us to oppress. That's it. If it was a they've done an excellent job, you know. But it also, the cultural centre, we're not just about, you know, it's education, it's well-being, it's arts and culture. We had a lovely write-up in the Voice newspaper this week, and they said, meet Kelly and Victoria. That's my other co-founder. Meet Kelly and Victoria. You know, dissolving systemic racism through art and culture in a creative way. And in any of our manifestos, it doesn't say that, but that's exactly what we do.
Perfectly.
You know, like video, food, or we do it through dance, and it's like, and then in all of these things, history gets told, or them challenging conversations can be had, and they can't be had by people that have not experienced it. You know, if you talk about systemic racism, you've got to talk to a Black or brown person. You can't have a white teacher teaching a class full of kids.
Totally. Well,
you don't get a dentist to teach about heart surgery.
Yeah, well, Kel, I think that kind of, and then again, like I say, I'm by no means perfect, and I think everyone needs to work on themselves in one way or another. But I've come from a very socialist upbringing, so I've come from a very, everyone is the same. You know, that's how I've always been taught by my parents. But I am not the best person to talk to people about this particular subject because I haven't lived that experience. So this is what I think would be.
Hey, can I just say something? The thing is, I know what you're trying to say by saying everyone is the same, but we're not the same, and that's okay.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. Sorry. So
but we're not the same, and that's all right. Because when people say, I know you didn't say this, you know, I've had to say, oh, I don't see colour, and it's like, you're why are you erasing my colour?
Yeah.
Someone in a wheelchair, I don't see your wheelchair. It's like, well, you got the stairs then. Do you know?
Yeah.
Wheelchair, that's fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, what I sort of mean by that is like in regards to it. What's good is from a young age, it's nice to have somebody who, because when you're a kid, you ask all sorts of questions. Why is that person like that? Why is this person like this? Why do they do that? Why are they holding their hand? Why are they doing? Because you're a kid, and it's
where we say it's all right.
Yeah, exactly. This is it. Yeah.
Yeah. Why is that lady's got long braids there? I got told the other day because my hair was braided. She didn't say worms. She said something else. For the mum physically, the mum was like, oh shit, because she's gonna be. I don't know what she was feeling, but it wasn't comfortable. So I know not everyone can do this, but I was like, no, it's all right. This is called braid. I explained to the girl, and I had beads on the end, and it's like, mum was like, and it's all right for kids to ask. I love the energy of kids. Ask everything, but tell them.
A dialogue is, for me, always the best solution. Like, with whatever the subject is, to have a conversation about it is the only way that you can change somebody's mind or give an opinion. But by everyone sort of not, if you go about the town and sort of don't say anything and no, I'm not going to challenge that or approach that or think about that, and I'm just going to try and run away from it, you'll have the same mindset you might have had 10 years ago.
Nothing will change. And it's all right to feel, fucking hell, that's hard, or that's challenging, or, I heard someone say the other day, I don't want to talk to my nan about it, she's going to die in a minute. So, and it's like, that's not the attitude. We have to, like you just said, it's in conversation. It's all right to have those conversations.
Yeah, definitely.
Wrong. But the point is, there's so much information out there now.
Yeah.
Google, for God's sake, there's so much books written or audio, for any level that you are. I mean, I don't like reading, but I've got 50 million audio books,
Yeah.
And I think that there's no excuse anymore, T.
Yeah.
Those jokes, or to not understand how white people are, black and brown people are oppressed.
Yeah.
And there's no excuse. Just understand it and talk to someone. It's not anyone. You can't. There's a balance, though. You can't just ask that person, "Oh, black person, tell me all the answers." That's not it. Because if you can read any form of intelligence, go and have a look. Go and read. Go and find.
Yeah.
Well,
for me, Kel, when you first told me about the project, about what's going to happen, I was just super, super excited, because I think that is the missing piece of the puzzle. We've got the art with the Turner, we've got, all of the quirky shops, we've got the little live music venues, we've got the nice places to eat. And it's going to be a fantastic addition. So I don't know how much you can share, but how much can you tell us about what's in place?
So we are, at the moment, we're in on the seafront at Marine Drive, where our offices are.
Yeah.
And we are putting together strategic plans and policies, and building partnerships and getting funding and building up our bank account. And, we're just working with, the V&A, we're working with the Turner, we're working with, we just done a Gucci advert. I mean, it's just ridiculous. From big activations to literally the guy next door, We really provide opportunities to young people in Margate and Kent to experience things that they've never experienced. We're to me on Mead Estate and talking to the kid that wants to be a graphic designer. You're going to be meeting soon. But also, can I just say also that when we say black and brown, our organisation is black and brown led.
Yeah.
But we absolutely understand that, like you said, T, that bridge in this town, lots of people think, oh, art is for very posh, rich white people, and Dreamland is for some people on income support for a treat. But we absolutely understand that this isn't just about being black and white. There is a middle ground here of being working or in poverty. There is, of course, there's a cross sectionality that you can be poor and black, and you're still going to be treated different from the poor white person. But there's still a voice here that is not heard. And we found that about activations that we've done, that it's not just black and brown people that come to us, it's working class people, because we speak their language. My other co-founder, she always says, because we've had this conversation so many times, on our council estate, it didn't matter whether you was black, Indian, Chinese, white, gay, straight, we was just all poor on this estate.
Yeah. Well,
we was just all poor, and I think that there's a community of a voice there that just doesn't get listened to.
Most certainly. Yeah, most certainly.
It's about talking about people's lived experience,
Well, do you know what's great, Kel, with this podcast? So there's a trend in regards to people I've had on so far, and it's people that have come from situations like that and have, in a lot of ways, broken the mold. So they've got themselves into a situation, all had fantastic upbringings. It's not a case of that, but it's that things they haven't turned their parents' £1 million business into a £1.2 million business. They've got up, they've grafted that.
Yeah. And I always knew, like I said, my dad's Jamaican and my mum's English Romany traveller. So my culture and my being is about freedom and creativity. And if you want to be an astronaut, be an astronaut. It doesn't matter. House next door has just been raided and there's a crackhead next door, or drug abuse next door, and I always had that drive. I always had that drive to have whatever I want, provide my daughter with what I want. I had an affirmation when I was really young to pay off my mortgage early. I didn't even know what a mortgage was, Tim. No one on our But, I worked hard and I'm mortgage free. I'm like,
it's brilliant.
That old cliche of no one ever give it to me, I've just worked hard. And do you know what as well? being kind and self-belief to yourself, being kind to yourself and self-belief. I believe in myself, and people think that might think that's arrogant. I don't really give a shit. I believe
it's a state of mind, Kelly, isn't it? You know,
absolutely.
and it isn't for everyone, but it definitely helps. And one thing that I get from everyone I speak to who owns their own business or is successful in what they do is there is always a trend that they have similar traits to other people that are in that situation, whether that be that they count their blessings, and I don't mean in a religious sense, but I mean that they celebrate the little wins, or you know.
I absolutely agree with that, and I think that, and there's a determination and there's a grit that some people have that, and you know, some people have had absolutely horrific shit happen, you know, to their life, and there's still people that still have horrific shit happen, and they've got something that just drives them, you know. And I also meeting different people along the way. And, you know, back in the day, too, you had the community brought you up. You knew next door and you knew across the road. Now we anyone. And them young people now slip through that net. If you ain't got a community, and this is what the culture centre is as well, trying to provide that. And sorry, I know we haven't touched on this, but my other personal project that I have is called Toe to Fro. That is feeding young black girls with young black and brown women with care about their hair, care about their mental health, and particularly black maternity health, because there's it's about black and brown women dying in childbirth more, and sorry, I haven't got statistics off the top of my head, it's too late, and having more miscarriage and getting treated like shit, basically. I've had a horrific time, but we don't talk about these things. We're like, oh, don't talk about that, don't talk about that. And so is that I'm sharing that lived experience so other people can be like, oh, okay, I don't have to fall through that net. There's other
it's brilliant.
Talk about it, and it's all right, you know.
Definitely. I mean, obviously, I've seen what you've been doing, Kelly, on both fronts using. And I was going to say actually, because believe it or not, I think we've definitely gone over our half-hour time frame. Which. I would literally sit here and chat for the next 5 hours if it permitted, but I can't, unfortunately. So I was going to say, first of all, in regards to People Them Collective, when are we looking for things to get the ball rolling to let people in? Are we still a little while off that?
We're in, like I said, our temporary offices, which are on the seafront, and we're going to try, and we're working with Dreamland at the moment, but very independent from Dreamland. To take, you know, the big massive building where the Dreamland Neon is? The old cinema, to everyone who remembers. It's called Valley High Building, but I didn't know that. That's going to be our public facing building. Cool. So we're talking to architects, and that should be rolling very soon. So that'll be our temporary place. We'll be in there for about 2 years, where people can come, and there'll be film, there'll be food, there'll be arts, there'll be music, there'll be community activations. So we're going to occupy that while we're securing the old Primark building. So that's our cultural centre, is the old Primark building. And again, food, culture, there's going to be a radio station in there. There's going to be opportunities for everybody to learn. There's going to be a permanent Black Brown exhibition. There's going to be a Black and Brown archives. There's going to be a rooftop garden. There's going to be a restaurant. And it's going to be beautiful for Margate and everyone. And it's free.
Yeah, that's the best thing about it, mate, is the price. I'm joking. No, it's exciting, Kelly. And this is what I think, you know, for people that live in the area who have seen the transformation over the last few years and are enjoying, you know, the options that you've got on your doorstep, this is going to be something that's just going to elevate it to the next level, you know?
And for people that want to question it, you know, this movement, it's good to question it, but don't get left behind. You know what I mean? We care about people now, whether they're gay, women, Black, brown, we care about people, men, white men too, you know what I mean? We have a care of a community to people. So if you're one of these people that are like, oh, no, I'm not, it's like, okay, well, you're going to get left behind, man. You've got to jump on the bandwagon. You've got to come forward and get happy and, you know, be enriched by it, you know? If you look at that, you're probably wearing something that is inspired by a black or brown person, or eating something. Certainly listening to the music, because we're all, you know what I mean?
Definitely. We only have to look at the names of most of my children to know where my music tastes like, Kel. So.
Right.
But Kelly, it's been my absolute pleasure to have you on. So thank you so much for jumping on. I know that your toe to fro is on Instagram is _toe to fro, TO fro, and it's toetofro.com is the website. And People Them Collective, is it just People Them, BEM Collective on Instagram, and the same .co.uk or .com? .com for the website. So check them out, guys. They've got really some fantastic stuff coming up. And like I say, Kelly, it's not going to be long before I'll probably ring you after this, just so we can have a chat for another hour. So it's been really, really elevating for me to have you on and to hear what you've got to say. And I cannot wait for this culture centre to open. And I'll be the first visitor through the door, mate. So I can't wait.
Open up. You and Philly.
Yeah. I need to get Philly. Well, I need to pick the guitar up. I've got one sat there that I haven't played for about 3 years, but I know. Well, I need to train the boys up to play, and then I can send them out to make the money. You see, that's the thing. But it's absolute pleasure, Kelly, and look forward to doing this again with you soon. Once it's open, I'm going to have you back on. I'll probably have you on before then, but once it's open, definitely jump back on.
All right then.
Awesome. Nice one, Kelly. Take care. See you later. Bye.